time for Middays with Marcus Maben on 93.9 The Ville. Now, here's Marcus Maben and Steve Rummage.
Welcome back. It's Middays with Marcus Maben. 8150 93.9 is the number. 93.9 is the station. Beautiful day. The roster may be, if not fully complete, for Louisville basketball. And the 93.9 roster is a little bit heavier. Steve Rummage in the building. Coach Lieberman in the building. Nikki V in the booth.
We have a full table today, as me and Coach Lieberman are over here at Tri-State Men's Health. So we're going to be telling you about that today. Both of us are partaking in that, so we're excited about that. But yeah, man, this is it's going to be fun, man.
In between, and thanks, Mark. It's great to be on with you. In between all the stuff with Tri-State, he and I are just diagramming some X's and O's right now.
Yeah, look, we're doing some plays, and I was telling them, Marcus, the funniest thing. So I call Marcus last night, and I'm like, the first thing I say is, yeah, I'm going to have to get back in the lab. I'm going to be coaching with Coach Lieberman. Marcus said, yeah, I was waiting for that call.
Listen, I'll take it a step further. Nikki, yesterday, it was supposed to be just a little short topic. I was going to say, okay, this happened to me in particular. I said something to a friend about losing weight, and the way they agreed, I took offense to it, right? I didn't take offense, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's like you're agreeing a little too enthusiastically.
So the round table that we can pass along to Rummage, Lieberman, Nikki, the round table of where's the line in agreeing with someone who says they need to lose weight. But here's the thing. When Steve said, I'll be working out, some kids, right? The thought went directly to my head. I'm like, hey, how do you tell Steve you're going to have to tighten up? Because just jogging around to explain something, to fetch the basketball, just anything it takes. And I remember Steve telling me that he was messing around with the what are they, the virtual reality?
Yeah, the VR games.
Yeah, the VR games. And he talking about doing a mountain climbing or a boxing thing, and it's like Steve, you're gonna use 50 passes, and your arms are gonna feel like they're gonna fall off when you go to sleep the next night, because it's like you're not used to passing the ball 50 times. But I didn't know how to say, Steve, you're gonna have to tighten up,
Well, and the funny thing is, and Coach will love this, it was the defensive stance that I was in, that my lower back, I was like, you got to get right, man. Like you got to get,
Marcus, not only was he passing, he was doing we do this little flip drill where you pound or dribble to simulate how hard you've got to do that to explode and create space.
Ooh. He's
sliding and catching their moves defensively and making them crossover, and he's bumping them and that kind of stuff. But he's going over contesting shots and
can't let them see. Here's the thing. I know. Look, they're not listening right now. So, but I can't let them see.
Right.
When Coach Lieberman's like, all right, everybody get in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm kind of outside the huddle, and I'm like, I can't let them see that I physically I'm trying to catch my breath right now. Like I'm like,
no, and here's
because
the thing.
we have some Marcus. We have some serious athletes. And I just so happened to be in the group that was, out of 15 kids, you're probably talking 5, 6 of the best athletic ones. And it's like,
I put you right in that group.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, Coach, I'm gonna need you to hold Steve accountable too. When you see him letting up, you're gonna have to you have to give him a little extra pep talk too. It's like, don't let him see you quit, Steve.
Oh, I'm going to do that, and then I'll be like, come on, Steve.
Yeah.
Or Coach Rummage. Come on, Coach Rummage.
Yes.
Get them going.
Listen, I will say this, though, man, and I know we want to talk roster, and Coach Lieberman's got his roster out here, and we're gonna talk all about the addition yesterday. But, man, not just because he's my friend, not just because I'm coaching with him, watching Coach Lieberman coach listen, if you can get out to a practice,
right?
My gosh. I mean, it was like, okay, I've played college football, but I've never been in college basketball. You know, I mean, I've seen the practices and stuff, but
right?
To, like really be paying attention to what a coach is saying.
Yeah, like
so that way I know what's going on.
Foundational coaching.
Yeah. And it was like, my gosh, dude. I mean, it is such a next level, like.
And it's also why relationships last so long, especially in the basketball world. Like when you have somebody pushing you to that, to individual teaching levels, like Coach Lieberman. It's like, when you see him working out with guys he's worked out with a long time ago, it's like, okay, those are lasting relationships because you are really pushing each other. And listen, players push coaches push players to like limitless. I'm going to tap into everything I'm going to tap into everything you can do. It's a thing.
Who's yours? If you were going to train today and it was like, okay, obviously circumstances are what they are, but if they weren't and you were like, you know what, I'm going to play in the TBT. I got to get back right. Who would be your guy? Who would you call?
And everybody who's ever like really worked me out.
Just put me in the top 3.
So
just off reputation alone.
Coach Lieber, I was going to ask you about like guys you've worked out and just like who really pushed you as a coach. Just like like again,
would yours be Davenport?
Oh man, here I'll be as politically incorrect as possible.
Okay, let's do that.
With Coach Davenport, it'll be like he's the perfect team workout guy.
Okay.
To get me looking to think the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe I go to Eves because Eves is the dude, get your stuff together. Just
sure.
You does that make sense? Like sometimes you need a guy who just mean to you,
Absolutely.
So, some guy you need to think the game better, than what you're doing, And then we got leaves. Just get my game right. Coach, just get my game right, Coach. I got to get into TBT. I don't want to look stupid. Let's get some workouts here.
Well, you were such a good player. Like for me, that's the fun part. So you asked me that question. Remember Steve Blake?
Yes.
And so won the national championship at Maryland, played in the NBA for 14 years. Mm-hmm. When I was in Miami, I would train him. And nothing, when you have a player that you do not have to, I'm not a big believer. I always use this, and it's not semantics. You can't motivate anybody. You can inspire him, but you can't motivate a player. You can inspire him, but they got to have. He was relentless. If he didn't do something right, he's throwing the ball, and I love that. Like he was a guy that, like, all right, I would say that was pretty good. It wasn't good enough. Let's do it again. And I've been around enough players like that. And Peyton's like that, but there's been a plethora of players. That to me, I have the most fun when I'm coaching players who demand and are chasing perfection themselves.
Well, it got Terry Rozier drafted. I mean, Marcus and I talk about it all the time. Terry Rozier, the Celtics,
relentlessness. Yeah,
when he did that drill, and they were like, "Okay," and he was like, "Nah, let's do it again." Mm-hmm. And they said they had went 30 minutes of just sweat and hard workout, and he was like, no, one more time. And they drafted him in lottery, right?
Yeah, he moved. It's funny. This was a conversation. This was a panel that was totally meant to happen. Steve, it's gonna be so shameful. Look, I'm dipping into my shameless bag this morning. Here's the problem,
Coach Roberts, but we'll talk about it later.
Here's the problem. I said things to myself in a game that I played, one of the first games of my senior year at the University of Louisville. You know who I was playing against?
I'm listening.
MF and Steve Blake.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was
right around that time.
It was Steve Blake, and who's the other guard? The little guard,
Juan
Dixon.
Yep.
I remember playing them, and I remember Steve Blake, and I was like, this delegation member is tough.
Yeah.
Just like in my brain, I was like,
white guy.
This is a very tough delegation member.
Yeah.
And I remember actually realized, and then I remember thinking, like, where's he from? Without bringing any racial bias into this conversation, I was like, I 7 minutes into the game, I was like, okay, this dude's a little different. Like,
what was this overseas? You said
no. This is
here.
We were in Maui.
Okay, yeah. That's about that wheelhouse.
Yeah, I played him.
Been young.
Yeah, Terrence Morris, Juan Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
They had a squad.
Lonnie Baxter, I think.
Lonnie Baxter. That was a tough team. But I remember in particular wondering where Steve Blake was from because I knew he was just a little different.
Yeah.
And
now
okay,
you know.
Yeah, okay, coach. So you're behind that.
Marcus, like he would train with me a lot, and he ended up transferring from Miami Springs to Miami High.
Okay.
And then when Frank Martin left Miami High, he went to Oak Hill. And this is a true story. Back then, this is like the 90s. Like you didn't have all these like videos of the kid, and everybody was like, "Hey, this is a kid you got to get as your point guard." When he got to Oak Hill, Steve Smith, the head coach, didn't know he was white.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, you look at Steve, he was all arms and legs. He's
right.
And you're like, really? This is the guy? And they win a national championship. One thing about Steve, he would go around to every teammate as a point guard. Where do you like the ball? Do you like it on the elbow? Do you like it on the block? When I'm bringing the ball up the court, do you want to go into handoffs? He was like meticulous with all that kind of stuff. But you look at him, and he wouldn't pass the eye test.
Right.
But man, what a competitive.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Are the legendary stories of him throwing hands is true, or are they legendary stories?
No, that's all true. Yeah, he did not back down.
If you type in Steve Blake on YouTube, most of it's like fight videos in practice.
Yeah. Like he and his teammates loved him. Like he played with Kobe, but like he was so tough. And you looked at him and you're like, what?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like TJ McConnell, like, but more skilled. Like he could play. I mean, he lasted, I think, 13, 14 years in the NBA.
No, you always
there a
saw.
while.
Okay, well, Coach, let me ask you this. You know, we're just kind of shooting the guns.
Coach gonna hang out with us till 11, so we got him to pick his brains. So
okay, Coach. Putting together rosters. Which one is more fun, TBT or high school or Holy Cross? Operation Holy Cross.
Well, the TBT is so much fun, but you have ready-made guys. You have pro guys who you don't. You're tweaking things and you're putting in stuff, and then they're getting to learn you, and it's fun, but it's short-lived. As much as I have relationships with a lot of the former guys, some guys I didn't know, but it's more logistical trying to get this. Okay, where are we playing? What's our schedule going to be when they get here? Where are we going to eat? Just stuff like that. These are pros. You don't have to. We're watching film now. We took this, and that's what the players loved. We took it as we are a pro team.
Right.
We watch film. We did scouting reports. We're walking through stuff. We did team yoga. We did all those type of things. But that's fun, and then you move on, and those guys have those pro careers. And that's where I cut my teeth before I came to Louisville. When you're dealing with high school, there's so many like Marcus, like you get this. You're teaching them how to read a pin down, like how to be late, not early. Like, all right, the guy's playing you on the top side. You can back cut. Now the big can pop. Like these kids are just relying on athleticism. You're teaching the game, and I love like teaching it. And I've always believed that this game is overcoached and undertaught. So like when you're getting these guys in and understanding the basketball IQ can go up, and you're building a program, that's a blast. That really is.
What is something in particular that you just look back and smile, like after just an average day of coaching high school? It's like, like if you get a kid to read a pin down the right way and get it and go from not reading it right to successful, is there something that stands out in your mind, that just says, okay, that's probably one of the more day-to-day gratifying things about coaching?
When you get a text from that player saying, Coach, I really enjoyed that drill. How can I get even better at it? I got a text from one of the players saying, how can I get better with my left hand? Because we were doing drills that I mentioned to them that in game 4 of the Celtics series against the Cavs, there was 119 passes thrown with their left hand, whether it was a pocket pass, an open hand pass, a transition, and you're driving and just trying to create. Because the days, as you know, Marcus, of just, okay, here's a 2-handed chest pass, here's a 2-handed bounce pass, and you're going up on the left side with your with your right hand off your left foot. Like those days, Russ Smith going off his left foot with his left hand, like all those things, European steps, like stuff that you improve on all that kind of stuff and building up an IQ. And
Coach, let me listen. listen, I get carried away when we start, getting into the weeds of basketball. Let me stop you right now. There's a play last night.
Mm-hmm.
Transition. It's Jaylen Brown.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the ball. He's about, midway through. They force him to pick up the basketball. He then pump fakes, then takes an extra step around the guy to lay the ball up. Do you remember the particular play?
I certainly do.
Okay. How have you adjusted to Coach Lieberman of old to adding the teaching of let's just call it what it's traveling? How do you add traveling to the way you coach footwork?
Yeah, you look at all the sports from college baseball and college football to pro football and pro baseball. There's not a lot of difference with all that kind of stuff. The pro game, it's apples and oranges, Marcus. And a couple things like we were emphasizing yesterday, playing low to high, and when you're attacking defender, get your shoulders to his hips. But the lower you are, look, we're also talking about high school officials. If they even think it's a travel, they're going to make that call.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, the thing that sucks about it is that's a travel in high school. And if it looks, look, we're not too high. Look, Marcus, now I've got to go and erase all the tape of me being like, yeah, no, you're going to get screwed in the Sweet 16.
Right.
But what I didn't mean to cut Coach off, but what I think where he was going with that too is with high school officials, sometimes if it looks awkward, they're going to call it because it's like, and if you pick up a ball and take a step, that's going to be a travel 100% of the time. Now, every player we had yesterday watched that game last night.
Mm-hmm.
That was a play. Big play. Jaylen Brown scores. But that's a travel in high school basketball.
That's a travel.
They will call that
100%
of the time. If you pick a ball up and move any foot in a high school basketball game, they're going to call it. 10 out of 10.
Reggie Miller would always free up his right foot as his jab step foot, and his left foot would always be his pivot. Didn't matter how he caught the ball.
Right.
He would take 3 or 4 steps to get in that position. And it's amazing. And if you watch that, like it's prevalent, it's rampant. You watch high school players are watching that and they think, well, it's not a travel, and it is. So to your point, Marks, you just how many kids yesterday just go off one foot instead of learning how to jump stop and how to pivot and how to if you can't pass, you can't play. These guys are all trying to create off the bounce and understanding how passing takes the tension out of the game and getting these guys to understand how to move and cut hard. It's such a process.
You know who changed me? I was always Mr. Stop passing one hand. Stop passing one hand. And David Johnson. David Johnson changed me when the way watching him be able to get into the lane. Now, I will say this. The pass he throws from the lane to the corner of the 3-point line. It's also one where you want to be like, hey, most people can't do that. But that just when you see him do that, you're like, okay, next level players nowadays can throw elite one-handed passes. Like,
that's and you watch it. These guys are so good. Marcus, I think there's times that referees almost they're not sure because they're so skilled.
Yep.
And they're like, wait, am I sure of what I saw?
Yeah.
Because they're so talented. And then it's like, well, did he drag that foot? But he's so good at taking, slower steps and longer strides and understanding angles. And so it's almost like the referees are almost like, I'm not sure.
Yeah. The Euro step got big around the time I was graduating in 2005. And that was
exactly it.
That was when a lot of people started to do the Euro step.
Manu Ginobili to D Wade.
Yes, sir.
You could see D Wade saying, oh, okay, if he can do that, I need to add that to my game. I would say Manu Ginobili and D Wade were the first two to really just.
But there was a period of time where players and officials had to adjust.
It's like a renaissance. When in 2004, I went with Nike to the All Asian camp in China, and
I figured it was somewhere around there.
Yeah,
All Asian.
I figured it was in that vicinity.
You're like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
And I'm watching all these European coaches teach the Euros and teaching different things. I'm like, wow. And I brought it back to Monsignor Pace High School.
Yeah.
And our first summer league game, we're called for like 6 travels.
Yeah.
And I got thrown out of one game. But the point is it's that adjustment period of how the game evolves. And it's so different. Like you said about David Johnson, the one-handed hook passes. We were talking about yesterday, like, hey, different angles and that's this. as you know this, Marcus, this is the most creative game on the planet to me. Like, it's imaginative, it's creative. There's so many things that you can do, and that's the beauty of it. So you don't want to take that away from players.
It's funny. I say that a lot about like long-term pro potential versus short-term. Younger guys they keep that imagination. Sometimes guys have been in college kind of learn how to win in college, but they lose some of their creativity, just like running the system.
Right.
But there were. Let me ask you this: when we're talking about the one-hand passes, Connecticut, what did you enjoy about watching the Connecticut run, the tournament run?
I mean, I could be on here for like 2 hours talking about that. The fact that Danny Hurley said, "Okay, I'm going to watch European basketball," and because he was like his father, it was like, all right, we're going to smash it. We're going to throw the ball in. We're going to, just high ball screen, attack you. It's going to be because you can't out tough teams on offense.
Yeah.
You got to be really skilled. The way they pass, the way they set up their cuts, they're constantly moving. But you have to have guys, Marcus, as you know, to buy in to the fact of, you know what, even though to go away from the basketball is unnatural for high school and middle school kids. Whoa, I'm running towards the ball. What do you mean you want me to go away? But eventually it's going to come back to me. So watching Connecticut and watching all the things, making their bigs facilitators, throwing their bigs to the wing where they're drawing guys out, and then all of a sudden he becomes a passer. And then all the
Klingon's passing ability to those corner passes. I'm like, okay, this is almost unfair now.
Rest. Yeah. And what does that do? What's that selling point for Connecticut? He makes him more valuable as a pro because he can do those things.
Yeah.
That's what he can stretch the floor. So all those things, watching Connecticut and watching just the beauty of their offensive system where you can't scout it because it's reads and they're basically the defense tells you to play. It was a thing of beauty.
And if someone actually is willing to set their man up all the way, it's like, you watch it and you're like, boy, people are in trouble. You just kind of see, you see if a guy runs hard, like I say this to Steve all the time, if a guy runs full speed knowing he isn't going to get the ball, that team is going to be a problem.
Yes.
Great point. Like no matter what, look, you see something like that and it might sound insignificant to somebody, but you say, hey, did you just see how hard that guy ran to the corner and how many eyeballs he drew just by running that fast? And you see a layup and you're like, yeah, that's what's going on. So what is your buy-in strategy when you're working with people? Because, there's individuals, there's all this work you put in individual, then there's the team game. It's like, what's your, without giving away your entire strategy, of course, like what's one of your ways to kind of get somebody to buy in, like your sales pitch?
So couple things. I always tell every player and a parent, we want better players, not better plays. So we're not going to just draw up plays and expect you to. No, we want better players. So it's always a read and you understand that kind of stuff. And then, that's the first component. And then like with skill work, all that stuff has to carry over to what you're doing. You can't just, and whatever your system is, if you're going to run a lot of flares or back screens and then you never use it in games, like for me, that's a huge piece of it. And so everything I always say, we're not playing the drill, we're playing a game. Coach Rummage heard me say that. Coach Rummage, by the way, heard me say that.
Thank you.
Just an enormous amount of time yesterday. I'm just talking about we want better. We play the game, not the drill. So everything is game-like. And to your point, every cut's got to be an attention-getting cut. So I think a lot of coaches are afraid, even at any level, to coach sometimes their best players, and they kind of have slippage. No, you've got to be meticulous. Every cut's attention-getting. Yeah. Everything is game-like. So my pitch is they're going to become really good players, and I'm not a numbers guy, so I'm not going to say, well, you're a 4, you're a 3, you're a 2, you're a 9. You're a basketball player because the game's become so positionless that everybody's got to be able to handle it. Everybody's got to be able to pass it. You got to work on your shot, those things.
Can I give people a little bit of an insight? Listen, Marcus, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. So Coach Lieberman says, and we got to leave names out yet, so we can't do names, even though you'll be hearing about the players here soon. But he said, listen, you know what, we don't do, he's like, I don't care if you're a 5, you need to know them all. You need to know all the positions, So then he's like, he asked one of the players on the other side of the floor, he says, what position are you? The kid was like, 4 or 3. Look, without hesitation, Coach Lieberman says, okay, Coach Rummage, go ahead and take him over there. The rest of y'all get on the line. Oh my gosh. And this poor kid.
I wish I had a treadmill.
This poor kid had to just stand on the sideline, and the team's looking over at him like, are you kidding me? And so I'm just standing over here, and look, and I get to be like, now, this is awesome, man. I get to be hey, look, he's teaching.
Right.
You gotta pay attention, be listening, and stuff. And this poor kid's just standing there, and his team's running. I was like,
no, listen. I love.
It was awesome.
It's also
awesome.
It's also why I can't be a coach. It's because listen, not only is he watching at his teammates run, but I'm like Peyton Manning in the commercial. Like, go sit in the porta potty. Go. I want you to go sit in the porta potty and listen to the feet screech up and down while I make pancake blisters on these other players because I just said there is no position, or something. Yeah. So yeah,
that's it. And this is the beauty of it. It's not a knock because there's some really good youth coaches and travel programs, but like I mentioned, I mean, the game is undertaught, and it's just about athleticism, and you can go out there and understand you're not going to get that shot off against really good players, and we talked about that. So,
yes,
Marcus,
I'm listening.
Is the text line? Are the usuals? How are we doing over there? I know what I imagine it looks like. It's probably 95%. People are really enjoying.
Is Rummage coaching at Holy Crow? That's the top one.
Listen, it's a lot of enjoyable text, and then I'm sure there's the 2, and I could probably give you the numbers.
I'm listening.
That are like, you mean tell me we got Frank Anselm yesterday, and we're at 10:33, and we still haven't talked about him.
Coach Rummage, shame on you. Shame on you. Because you don't give our fan base enough credit. At the end of the day, Steve, this fan base knows good basketball conversation when they hear it. They are all, each and every one of these text lines are enjoying this conversation. There is not one single move on to Frank Anselm conversation.
Because, and you know why I asked that? Because I was going to be hurt. Because I'm legitimately enjoying this basketball conversation about, and I was going to take it to when you were talking about Coach Hurley about Coach Kelsey, and maybe we can continue that on the other side if you want. I know we're coming up on a break, but with his international game and some of the things that he does. But before we do anything, I just want to remind people that we are over here at Tri-State Men's Health today. Coach Lieberman, myself, we're over here. Like I said, we partake over here. Listen, come check them out, man. Look, you can be in and out 30. It's very easy. Yes. The fastest elevator you'll ever use is right here in this building. I mean, listen, Marcus, you push the button, it opens. You get in, you push the button, it closes. It's like, that's insane, like if you were 4 feet away and I hit number 2 to go up to the second floor, you wouldn't make it. Or you would have to make a really serious decision.
Swiftly.
Like, am I going to jump in between these?
Will this crush my arm?
Because I don't trust people that do that. That's a whole other thing. I'm
you walk in here in a so-called doctor's office and everybody gets white coat syndrome. They're so affable. Everybody's great. It's easy peasy, man. And you're in here, it helps.
The appointment, you come in, you're 30 minutes in, you're 30 minutes out. We were just talking about it. Coach Lieberman's like, I'm going to get a B12 shot. He's like, I'm going to get a little extra energy today.
I took a charge yesterday, Marcus.
So he took a charge. And Marcus, let me add, he takes the charge, and then listen, he sits there, and the team's standing there, and he was like, oh, so nobody helps their teammate up? It was awesome. And so 1 or 2 guys ran over, and he's like, no, let's do it again. So he goes down, and then the whole team runs over.
Coach, there's a running joke that you only have a couple of those left.
No, I don't have any left. I'm telling you.
No,
that's it. My back. Yes, that's the last one.
Yeah, he went down to hard. It was like, oh, all right, man. Yeah. But listen, get over here, tristatemenshealth.com. Jump on there. You can take the low T quiz, man. It takes 2 minutes. It's 10 questions.
I don't know. Tri-State might give you a couple more of those now.
Listen, he might have a couple more in him now, man. Because I mean, listen, we're all over here talking about how much better we feel. Listen, I'll be honest, just lifting those testosterone shots, man, have like, it's like, oh my gosh, like the healing in that. Like even yesterday, Mark, it's like, I say, I set the defensive stance for longer than I have in 2 years. Yesterday, and last night my back was tight. Well, I woke up this morning, I felt fine, and I was like, man, I really expected. It's sad that I was like, I expected to get up and be like, I'm not gonna be able to move tomorrow. And listen, I woke up, I felt good. So yeah, listen, we're over here, Tri-State Men's Health. Come check it out. $99 for the appointment. We've had people from all over tell us they've came. And if you come in, you take that low T, or if you come in for erectile dysfunction or anything like that, and you take and that testos doesn't work, they waive that $99 fee. So listen, come in, check them out, and give them a try.
Quick commercial break. 93.9 The Ville. Your home is your fortress, and your first line of defense is your roof. So if your roof is under attack by either Mother Nature or Father Time, you should be calling Citadel Roofing and Construction. Citadel Roofing and Construction is locally owned and operated, will provide free inspections, estimates, and of course they'll work with your insurance. Did I also mention their A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau? Let Citadel Roofing and Construction protect the roof that protects you by calling 502-219-7964 today.
Men, this is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. And though I generally talk about medicine and effective treatments for erectile dysfunction and other men's sexual health issues, today I want to talk about love. Because love is the best reason to get treated for your ED. You see, ED can cause major relationship issues. In fact, men often push their partners away when ED becomes a problem. The condition can cause depression, arguments, breakups, and even contribute to divorce. But the good news is that if you're like most men suffering with ED, you can be successfully treated at Tri-State Men's Health and put a stop to the relationship stresses that ED can cause. I say this with all confidence because we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. Truly, it's likely you'll find you're performing like you haven't in years. So make an appointment and get the love back in your life. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 6 offices across the tri-state area to serve you.
Hey, Cards fans. Do you or a loved one suffer from gout? Gout is a very painful form of arthritis that can also lead to kidney and heart disease. I bet you didn't know there's now a Gout Center of Excellence right here in Louisville. They use the most up-to-date clinical guidelines and FDA-approved treatments to get you relief fast. If you have gout, be sure to call the Gout Center of Excellence at 502-719-2472 or visit them online at ralouisville.com. And be sure to tell them Marcus sent you.
Hey, Louisville fans, Steve Rummage here. In life, there are moments when the stakes are high and the decisions you make can forever change the outcome of your financial future. Buying or selling your home, that's one of those major league moments. Imagine this. If we're facing a major surgery, you wouldn't pick a cut-rate surgeon or someone offering a 1% discount, right? So why gamble with a cheaper option when it comes to selling your home? Go with a pro, someone who's recently named one of Louisville's 40 under 40, and call Josh Jarbo. Josh and the team of agents at RE/MAX Empire understand the value of what's at play. They don't offer any gimmicks, and they definitely don't take shortcuts. They provide the full MVP treatment every step of the way. So when buying or selling your home, choose the team that goes the distance for you. At RE/MAX Empire, your goals paired with their strategy is a guaranteed recipe for success. I'm Steve Rummage, and I'm telling you in real estate, don't settle for anything less than the best. Call Josh Jarbo at 502-216-7590 or check out his website at joshjarbo.remaxempireky.com.
Josh Jarbo, principal broker owner, RE/MAX Empire and Motto Mortgage A to Z, NMLS number 2256125. Equal housing lender.
Most people don't put much thought into the value of a reliable water or sewage pump until they have to. Well, I have a team that never stops thinking about it. Kentuckiana Pump Sales. With over 35 years of experience, Kentuckiana Pump Sales, a premier Ashland pump shop, includes sump, sewage, grinder pumps, and many more to service all residential, municipal, commercial, and industrial needs. Next time you think about pumps, think Kentuckiana Pump Sales, 3303 Industrial Parkway, Jeffersonville, Indiana, or visit KentuckianaPumps.com.
It's time to electrify your excitement for NBA playoff action with BetMGM. Want to boost your odds on your next NBA playoff wager? Just log into your BetMGM account today to receive an odds boost token for playoff hoops action. Then place a wager on any NBA playoff matchup and apply your token. Just make sure to bet up to the minimum stake, odds, and legs specified on the token. If your boosted wager hits, you'll score up to 50% more winnings. At BetMGM, we're adding more excitement to every playoff showdown. Enjoy BetMGM's exclusive offers on the biggest playoff games and try betting features like Same Game Parlay Plus. Tap into postseason thrills with the king of sportsbooks. Claim your odds boost token today and turn up the heat at BetMGM, an authorized gaming operator of the NBA. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kentucky only. Existing customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as unrestricted funds. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Keith Bosch with Rates Fence Company, a local family-owned and operated business for more than 50 years. Rates Fence is Louisville's premier fence installation and access control company, specializing in residential and commercial fencing solutions. If you are looking for a quality fence installation from a company you can trust, visit us online at ratesfence.com. That's RAATZ fence.com to schedule your free estimate today.
American Pro Staffing reminds us that many veterans returning from service need work. Many have elite military training and valuable professional skills that can benefit your company. Show your stripes. Hire smart and hire vets. That's from our good friends at American Pro Staffing in West Point, locally operated and veteran-owned. They're always working to keep our community moving in positive directions. For information and assistance with employment needs of any kind, give them a call at 270-801-0139 or visit online at www.americanprostaffing.org. For American Pro Staffing in West Point.
Hello, this is Dan McDonald, head baseball coach at the University of Louisville. You're listening to the home of Cardinal baseball on 93.9 The Ville.
Dial 968-6222, or you can look them up online at gfhcompany.com. Make sure you look into the Mitsubishi Mini Split like the one we use here at the 93.9 studios for that hard to heat, hard to cool room in your home. Again, 968-6222, or look them up online at gfhcompany.com. Coach, you've been working actively on roster construction. We've all been, as Louisville basketball aficionados, we've been watching Coach Kelsey and his roster construction. Got a quick question. How much of it to you has looked like roster construction versus like fit for his team or fit for talent? If you could divide it in percentages.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you're not inside that room, so for people to understand, it's not just happenstance. It's not like, okay, well, this player is good. They're vetting. They have lists. That whiteboard is getting updated daily. And so when he puts his staff together, they're going over all that. I think as far as style and fit, if you give me a percentage number, maybe like 75 or like an A-, because I think a lot of these guys are perfect for what he wants to do. They're athletic. They have high IQs. They can shoot it. They're going to play fast. That's what he wants. But Marcus, man, no matter what, I don't care who you are. And I think Coach Kelsey is going to just be tremendous. I've known him. I know his energy. One of his former players was my assistant when I was at the Heritage School. So, you know, we would talk about that constantly. But to put 13 new guys, and I know he's got 2 guys with Rain Smith and James Scott who have played for him, but you know how hard it is to make that gel and make it work. And there's going to be, there'll be growing pains, and people will see that early on. But eventually, this team, because you have so much depth and because they want to play fast, and because I think a huge part, you get a guy like Chucky Hepburn, that's a big get. Like, for me, that's a guy who knows he's a tone setter. He can see the game through coach's eyes. That's just huge. And
when you say growing pains, like, give me a hypothetical, not necessarily with Coach Kelsey, but just if you're just an outside, you know, a viewer of this, like, give somebody a college coaching growing pain that you could see with putting 13 guys together, dealing with the University of Louisville and its prestige and fan base and all that. Like, if you were going to say, hey, this is something that Coach Lieberman would probably watch out for, you know, just moving forward.
So, right, you know, before you have the portal and all the different things that go into it, come the end of March and April, as you're ready for the next season, you already have those 7 or 8 guys. You're like, all right, they understand. They're ready. They've been through it. They've practiced against seniors. They practiced against the guys who have moved on to the pros. They understand now. So when we get into practice, we're not going to spend as much time with all the nuances. They're going to they grasp what's expected from them. Now you have guys. The good part is you have a lot of guys with high basketball IQs, and I think you look at it. And I watched a lot of Terrence Edwards last year. I watched a lot of even Charleston basketball. I was able to watch some of that conference as well. And you see guys that have high IQs, and you have a guy like just in the tournament. I remember I was with Coach Rummers. We're watching Colorado, and you're watching a Javon Hadley. You're watching some of these guys. I watched a bunch of Wisconsin, and it's a different style for him. You have a lot of guys who have high IQ, and you know this, having been a very good player yourself. When you have that, the adjustment.
Had to get that one in.
Yeah. Sorry.
I left a little space for him.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
And he ran with it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest battle. So the growing pains won't be as hard as you have a freshman or a prep school kid who doesn't even understand, all right, what a ghost screen is, or hey, we're playing, you know, we're pinching the post or a zoom action or whatever terminology you want to use. These guys have seen it all. They've played in, whether they're playing in pro-ams, they're playing for.
How would you coach Ruth in this environment?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Exactly. That's the biggest thing. I think it's almost like you're going to defer. It's so important that you have 1 or 2 guys on your team that are tone setters. So you pull a Chucky Hepburn aside, you pull a Terrence Edwards aside because he can relate to maybe, you know, Terrence's game, and you say, look, take him in, make sure he's in the gym with you in the evenings. Make sure during film, I'm going to put Terrence Edwards sitting next to him in the film room. I'm going to make sure he's next to me. So, because a guy like Roos is going to be afraid to ask questions. He's going to be intimidated. I don't care how good you are. He's intimidated by the fact that this is a different environment and you have veteran players. Usually, right, you come in, Marcus, and there's 2 or 3 or 4 freshmen, and then those guys can gravitate together and they can learn it and they can sit together and say, man, did you see what they did? We got to learn that. Now he's kind of on an island. So as a coach, you've got to do your due diligence and make sure you're pulling Terrence Edwards aside and saying, look, you're with him 24/7. You're his big brother. You're making sure he understands the ropes. He's watching you as we go through, as we dummy stuff up. He's watching what you do. He's watching how you cut. He's watching how you catch the basketball. He's looking to see how you're reading the defense. So that's the biggest part for a young guy. But as a collective group, to get these guys together, and I all have high IQs. The biggest thing in basketball, you can never have too much talent. You can only have too many egos.
Right.
So if you get these guys to understand roles, that's a huge part. And I think he found that mix.
Okay, well, Coach, I got to ask you, how much of this NBA basketball have you been enjoying? Like I said, have you been locked in or just kind of casually? You know, listen, Operation Holy Cross obviously takes the front, takes front and center. But have you still been able to? Because here's the thing, I do always wonder, you're back in that seat. You're back in that, management seat, driver's seat. Are you able to consume it the same way? Just like I said, watching Louisville basketball, watching NBA basketball, or does everything just translate to how can I get my kid to do this? Is it clouding your ability to really just enjoy the basketball scene?
So the battery on my television is low because I'm always fast forwarding, stopping to watch like little things as far as that goes. I'm a casual viewer during the regular season.
Okay.
Come playoffs, I love to watch everything.
That's us.
And you know what? It's a great teaching point. End of game situations and how much time coaches don't spend on it. Like you're talking about pro players last night, Marcus, and the fact that you're inbounding the basketball and you have a guy running away from the basket. For me, if you're going to turn it over, you want to have guys sprinting towards your basket.
Mm-hmm.
As an inbounder, one of the rules for me is there's an internal clock. As soon as the referee gives you the ball, you're counting 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. You know if you have a timeout, and once you hit 3 1,000, it's timeout. It's an automatic rule.
Right?
It's an automatic rule because you know what? Now you're at the mercy of maybe a fast count from the official, and now the panic sets in. I also don't like having a bunch of guys sprinting towards the ball. I like one back screen, get your best player. I like to have a bigger player who's a good free throw shooter.
It felt like it made it easy on Boston.
It really did.
Yeah, on that inbounds play, because watching it develop, you were like, there's going to be nowhere to go here.
Right.
Like I thought he was actually going to end up throwing it to somebody in the paint, because I was like, maybe they're bringing everybody one direction. Because
like tomorrow for a next workout, I'm going to show those last minute of the game and say, look, it's even the pros that don't understand simple things like, hey, get the ball in and so on.
Let me ask you this too, and Marcus, same for you. I hate this because I'm always like, I just want to watch a game. You always foul in the NBA, right? I mean, am I wrong on that? Like down 3 in the NBA, I'm always fouling.
I'm not. I'm not a strategist with fouling.
Sure.
And I don't trust those referees. I don't trust to throw it up. I'm about to get fouled. It gives me anxiety.
I know.
The guy that he knows the foul is coming, and I just hate it.
They're just so good.
I'm just like, play it out and go win the game.
Go ahead, Marcus.
No, but I do understand. Like a strategic coach would say, hey, this is the right play here. I'm not the guy to pull out the sheet, the go for it analytics sheet. I'm like,
and I hate it. Don't get me wrong. I hate it. I hate it.
I think I prepared my players better than you. I'm prepared more than you. Go win a game.
Yeah.
So, Steve, like to your point, the first thing I'm doing as a coach, I'm having my players in that situation. Yes, I'm fouling because it's the NBA. And these guys are just too good.
That's kind of my point. I'm like,
in college, there's different scenarios. Sure. If you trust your team's going to switch and you've worked on these end-of-game situations like we talked about, you're guarding the three-point line. You're almost making it a shell where you can make them cut for 2s but no 3s.
Absolutely.
But in the NBA, anybody can make a shot. The first thing you're doing, you're having your players on defense go right to the officials and say, look, we are fouling.
Yeah.
We're not going to try and do it in the act of shooting, but we are fouling. You plant that seed in the officials' minds so they know what you're trying to do. So they're not going to call like a three-point attempt and you get 3 free throws. We are fouling, but we're going to do it on the floor. So that's the first thing, because I think the NBA guys are just too good. And then, like at the end, and you watched Siakam, his hands are down, his hands are dead as Jaylen Brown shoots the 3. Like, I didn't understand if he's like trying to. You're 6'9". If nothing else, just jump straight up. He allowed Jaylen Brown to shoot an uncontested 3 at the end of the game.
No, his hands. But you know what it was? His hands were in the cookie jar. Like you saw. Yeah, he was so worried about getting
the foul.
Yeah, getting that rake. The Harden Luka rake call. So he really had to. Like, I understood. Listen. Of course, I said the first thing I said when I say he is going to think about that shot for
I know
he's going to think about his defense for the rest of his life, because he literally could have blocked that shot. But this is why I said I don't foul, because it's 2 reasons. That because I just you said it earlier. I hate putting stuff in the referee's hands, for one thing, and you're on the road. Number 2, I am scarred. I am truly tainted by a game in Alaska however many years ago.
Sure.
There's this guy.
The Chris Mack game.
Thanks, Steve. Let me.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Nikki.
Sorry. I didn't know where you're
over here.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying the conversation.
Steve totally pulled the Nikki on you. But,
my bad.
But yeah, no, listen.
Didn't know I was a verb.
It was a trial when they were trying to do the Hack-a-Shack. They were trying to get the Hack-a-Shack out of the game, so a team could decide whether or not if you fouled late, they could just take it out of bounds instead of putting a bad free throw shooter on the line. And Chris Mack and I think it was Skip. Maybe it's Skip Process. Xavier. I don't remember who's the assistant, but Chris Mack decided to tell the coach, we're just going to keep on taking the ball out of bounds. And Coach Chris Mack and that Xavier team turned a 1-point game, drug it out like three extra minutes just by choosing to take it out of bounds every time. So I was just like, I guess I decided right then that I'm done with tactical anything. Just like, no, just go. Look, my team's prepared. Let's go win the game. So that might be just a little scarred up the way I view the game.
You got PTSD from that.
Of course.
Understood. I just think, and you made a great point about that swipe because those and the NBA players are just so good at, especially at Jaylen Brown, as far as getting into the defender and getting that rake. Man. But I just think, just show your hands high, 6'9". If you can't live in your fears and just be tall. But I am fouling because I just think those guys are just too good.
Okay, Coach, listen, again, the door is always open. Anytime you want to just get some basketball talk off your chest, like I said, you know this is always an option for you.
Well, this was an absolute blast. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Good luck with the season, Coach, also.
Thanks, Mark.
For sure.
Daily updates, trust me.
Eyeball emojis? No,
yeah.
I was going to say, no, you can't take the eyeball emojis, right?
I know. I'll be like, uh-oh, Cougs.
Well, speaking of eyeball emojis, coming up next, rolling along on 93.9 The Ville. Your home is your fortress, and your first line of defense is your roof. So if your roof is under attack by either Mother Nature or Father Time, you should be calling Citadel Roofing and Construction. Citadel Roofing and Construction is locally owned and operated, will provide free inspections, estimates, and of course they'll work with your insurance. Did I also mention their A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau? Let Citadel Roofing and Construction protect the roof that protects you by calling 502-219-7964 today.
Hey, Louisville fans, Steve Rummage here. In life, there are moments when the stakes are high and the decisions you make can forever change the outcome of your financial future. Buying or selling your home, that's one of those major league moments. Imagine this. If we're facing a major surgery, you wouldn't pick a cut-rate surgeon or someone offering a 1% discount, right? So why gamble with a cheaper option when it comes to selling your home? Go with a pro, someone who's recently named one of Louisville's 40 under 40, and call Josh Jarbo. Josh and the team of agents at RE/MAX Empire understand the value of what's at play. They don't offer any gimmicks, and they definitely don't take shortcuts. They provide the full MVP treatment every step of the way. So when buying or selling your home, choose the team that goes the distance for you. At RE/MAX Empire, your goals paired with their strategy is a guaranteed recipe for success. I'm Steve Rummage, and I'm telling you, in real estate, don't settle for anything less than the best. Call Josh Jarbo at 502-216-7590 or check out his website at joshjarbo.remaxempireky.com.
Josh Jarbo, principal broker owner, RE/MAX Empire and Motto Mortgage A to Z, NMLS number 2256125. Equal housing lender.
Hey, Cards fans. Do you or a loved one suffer from gout? Gout is a very painful form of arthritis that can also lead to kidney and heart disease. I bet you didn't know there's now a Gout Center of Excellence right here in Louisville. They use the most up-to-date clinical guidelines and FDA-approved treatments to get you relief fast. If you have gout, be sure to call the Gout Center of Excellence at 502-719-2472 or visit them online at ralouisville.com. And be sure to tell them Marcus sent you.
It's time to electrify your excitement for NBA playoff action with BetMGM. Want to boost your odds on your next NBA playoff wager? Just log into your BetMGM account today to receive an odds boost token for playoff hoops action. Then place a wager on any NBA playoff matchup and apply your token. Just make sure to bet up to the minimum stake, odds, and legs specified on the token. If your boosted wager hits, you'll score up to 50% more winnings. At BetMGM, we're adding more excitement to every playoff showdown. Enjoy BetMGM's exclusive offers on the biggest playoff games and try betting features like Same Game Parlay Plus. Tap into postseason thrills with the king of sportsbooks. Claim your odds boost token today and turn up the heat at BetMGM, an authorized gaming operator of the NBA. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kentucky only. Existing customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as unrestricted funds. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The sounds of spring can often be followed by the sounds of a broken air conditioner. With warmer weather ahead, don't wait for an emergency. So if you hear your AC unit making some unwanted noises, then call DFH Company today at 968-6222. Now when you buy a complete Train system, receive 10-year parts and labor warranty and up to $1,000 rebate on a high-efficiency system. It's hard to stop a Train, so call DFH 968-6222 or look them up online at dfhcompany.com. Visit dfhcompany.com for complete program eligibility, dates, details, and restrictions. Subject to credit approval.
The U of L Health orthopedic experts get you back in the game of life faster. We lead the state in robotic surgical procedures that minimize pain and recovery time. Our high-level care and customized surgeries treat everything from shoulders to toes, including spines. And as the official health provider for U of L Athletics, we give that same VIP care to every patient. That's the power of you. Visit uoflhealth.org.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every home run, every hit, every inning, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. See for yourself when you sign up today and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 18 and over only, must be physically located in Kentucky. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Men, this is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health. And you've heard me talk a lot about how treating low testosterone can improve your sleep, your workouts, your energy levels, and more. But today I want to talk to you about your sex drive, because low testosterone can have a significant impact on your desire for intimacy. It can even be a factor in erectile dysfunction. And if you're in a relationship or wanting to be in a relationship, a low sex drive could really be a problem. The good news is that if you're like most guys, treating your low testosterone could really change the way you feel about sex, giving you back the flame and desire that is so important when you love someone. So if you're feeling sluggish and tired, if you're not sleeping well, if your workouts aren't that great, and most of all, if your sex drive is more like a putt, make an appointment at Tri-State Men's Health and have your testosterone levels checked. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 6 offices across the tri-state area to serve you.
Most people don't put much thought into the value of a reliable water or sewage pump until they have to. Well, I have a team that never stops thinking about it. Kentuckiana Pump Sales. With over 35 years of experience, Kentuckiana Pump Sales, a premier Ashland pump shop, includes sump, sewage, grinder pumps, and many more to service all residential, municipal, commercial, and industrial needs. Next time you think about pumps, think Kentuckiana Pump Sales, 3303 Industrial Parkway, Jeffersonville, Indiana, or visit KentuckianaPumps.com.
Let's begin now.
Hi, this is Louisville football coach Jeff Fry. You're listening.
Today I just woke up and I
What do you mean, Cason Pryor? Terrence Edwards Jr. is literally a top 5 in the entire portal. He's top 10 at minimum in the entire portal, Steve. But because we got him first, and because I work with a Steve Rummage, he's ready to move on to some Corin Johnson kid out of Washington who was like 6th man of the year.
Yeah, but I mean, he was only the 3rd player, so I was like, felt like we was never going to fill out a roster at that point.
Like, listen, retroactive anxiety looks so stupid, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes, because I mean, I was pumped, but it was still like, God, we're not going to get to 13. Like, I mean, I really thought that. I was like, if we can everybody was talking about, fill out a roster. And I was like, man, if we could just get to 9.
Steve, and look, and of course, I'm going to go like, and listen, this is not revisionist, but I understand how it would sound revisionist because at some point, Steve, when you're like, okay, Scott, Rain Smith, Terrence Edwards Jr., I think we got Colorado, Javon Hadley, and then we got the Washington kid. And I'm like, if that's the 6 you're starting with, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. Like, I would have never dreamed you're going to add the Waterman, the Cason Pryor, you know what I'm saying? Like, the stuff we added after the original 6, I'm like, this is going to be like, I couldn't have, you're like, he kept it rolling. He really kept it rolling in recruiting. So you're going to keep it at Cason Pryor.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think for me it would be because
Chucky Hepburn.
Yeah, but I mean Chucky at least. I mean Chucky was the last guy we got for a while with Cason. It was like I listen, between like I said, the PGA and everything was going on. I turned on like Diener and Blankenbaker one day, and it was like, well, they finally got a big in Waterman, and I'm like, well, we got Cason Pryor. It's like, we just forgot, and I understand like the time, especially with them being out there and stuff, all going from Derby to PGA to so quick. It's like, I get it.
Corin Johnson got no love. He got no love, did he?
Yeah.
Do people even know that he's on the team? Do people know that we had literally a 6th man of the year from the Pac-12 and just thrown in? Like is he supposed to be a backup?
From just threw in a Corin Johnson. Yeah, it's like, well, what did he do last year?
How much did he average?
I'd have to look. I don't have all their stats in front of me, but yeah, I mean,
you're not 6th man of the year.
Yeah, if you're not a player,
you're
man,
a complete handful.
Yeah, so it's just the roster again. I think I will say, I am proud. I do think a lot of people have looked at this roster and said, because there is kind of a bloodlust.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's not make the same mistake. Introduce people from what you can to Frank Anselm, because I do want to kind of give everybody people who are just tuning in heard about the commitment. Yes, we've been talking about it, but give everybody a quick reset on Frank Anselm.
Well, look, he's coming from Georgia by way of Syracuse. He picked Syracuse out of high school. I'll start there. I mean, he played at Prolific Prep with Coleman Hawkins and Namari Burnett and a few guys like that were all on that team. I think that team won a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up picking Syracuse over Kentucky. He was going to be a backup piece for Kentucky that year. And he goes to Syracuse, plays a year, ends up at Georgia. I mean, he started some games.
as a fan, I listen. I always say this, Steve. Like I say it to you, I say it anytime anybody listen. My biggest fear is to be outsized in a game where you just can't do anything about it. You know, just like they have too many tall guys and they're just playing volleyball. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the worst thing. And I think he ensures that you're never going to be like foul trouble neglected, outsized neglected. If we need to bring an extra big in, you know, rim runner, you know, you're always going to have that ability. Oh, you mean pressure like as far as how fast he develops, or okay. Mm-hmm. 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 What what do you physically like the most about Frank Anselm? Mm-hmm. He does not listen. He does not waste motion going from ball to dunk. He is like for him to be able to listen. Like I'm going to be this guy. You need to catch the ball, Frank. Your numbers will go up extremely if you catch the ball. You need to be in there. Listen, you can't fumble the ball. Okay. And here's the thing: when I see it, this is me going deep dive. You may just be thinking about the dunk, like limited opportunities. You're thinking about the dunk before you get the full possession. It's the wide receiver with the yips, but some of them, some of them figured out. It's Tiki Barber when he started finally, not fumbling the ball. I'm sorry, Rondé. It was Rondé. Rondé had the fumble issues, right? Yeah, and it was okay. It was Tiki Barber, and then he started holding the ball with that high run and change his whole career. But yeah, it's one of those things like if you can get Frank Anselm to really catch the ball secure, he goes from possession of the basketball to dunking the basketball, whew, really, really fast, really fast. So, and I'm like, yeah, be careful, y'all. Like, mm, mm. It didn't feel right. Last night, I kind of, got, started thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, you're doing the roster and you're doing the breakdown. And then you say, okay, Marcus, it's time to ask this question. How long will it take for this to get nationally recognized? because I was doing the evening cocktail and the bowl prediction. I said out loud, and I want to know if you agree with this. I said by game 10, this will be a national story. Yes. What say you? Get on the board in the Bahamas, and by game 10, it's like, uh-oh. This thing, like, yeah, when you actually see it with your own eyeballs, like when you see the size of the roster, it's gonna be like, uh-oh. Yeah, they're in trouble. So okay, your tri-state. You want to hit that one more time? Just mm, right. Quick commercial break. 93.9 The Ville. It can be picked apart very easy before game 10. Like okay, you might get a couple nice wins early, but it's like, well, we'll see when you do this, and yeah, or just something like, oh, it's just a hot start because he had some kind of advantage, yeah, yeah. But by game 10, it's like, yeah. That's why I say about 10. I couldn't tell you. Nah, conference is probably yeah, probably 15.
offering a 1% discount, right? So why can't we be a cheaper option when it comes to selling your home? Go pro. Someone who's recently named one of the 100 and call Josh Jarbo. Josh and the team of agents at Remax Empire understand the value of what's in play. They don't offer any gimmicks, and they definitely don't take shortcuts. They provide the full MVP treatment every step of the way. So when buying or selling your home, choose the team that goes the distance for you. At Remax Empire, your goals paired with their strategy is a guaranteed recipe for success. I'm Steve Rummage, and I'm telling you, in real estate, don't settle for anything less than the best. Call Josh Jarbo at 502-216-7590. Check out his website at joshjarbo.remaxempireky.com. Josh Jarbo, Remax Empire Auto Mortgage Agency, NMLS number 225-6125. Equal housing lender. Hey, Cards fans. If you or a loved one suffer from gout, gout is a very painful form of arthritis that can also lead to kidney and heart disease. I bet you didn't know there's now a gout center of excellence right here.
So if your roof is under attack by either Mother Nature or Father Time, you should be calling Citadel Roofing and Construction. Citadel Roofing and Construction is locally owned and operated, will provide free inspections, estimates, and of course, they'll work with your insurance. Did I also mention their A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau? Let Citadel Roofing and Construction protect the roof that protects you by calling 502-219-7964 today. JCTMS. What is that in particular? JCTMS. Men's soccer. Jefferson County. Men's soccer. Well, the reason I asked that is because a texter would like to give a shout out to JCTMS for their undefeated season and city championship. Middle school, okay. I said men's soccer. JCT. Well, listen, this is, that would sound appropriate. I'm not. That was, yeah. That's one of those Diener. Like, I don't have a better guess, so let's go with that. Okay. Well, shout out to JCTMS. for the city championship in both JV and varsity and the undefeated season. So yeah. I'm getting overwhelmed with the you don't know JCTMS. Did Chick-fil-A provide comfort foods? You know what's terrible about that, Steve? I was looking at that and I ended up, what did they say? Oh, I ended up not eating it, but I looked at it over and over again. And I'm like, that's one of my bigger disappointments for the week, Steve. That I didn't. It was like one of those. I purposely put it away just to, just because I knew I was going to enjoy it. But it was worth it. Speaking of, are we just throwing generals around? Wendy's 50-piece nugget is on the menu. Chase is the one that passed that one along. And of course, Nikki screams out. I'm gonna have to try that just on a challenge. How many nuggets could you eat, Steve? the former Steve. You could eat 20 nuggets, no fries. $20 nuggets is a good portion of nuggets. Would you have to be drunk or something or high? Yeah. What'd you say, Steve? The munchie zone. No sauce. Says JCTMS to mail was a pipeline. Okay. Okay. That was it. Okay, so Steve, we always do this. Once we get our roster filled out, we start getting people to play pickup ball and we get people to play organized. Who is Steve Rummage's first organized pickup player from this team? And which is your street ball pickup, your first one? Your organized player is Chucky Hepburn off the bat. Hey, by the way, 8150-939 is number 3831-939 is the text line. We're having a little fun now. Sorry, hold on. Let me. Okay. Okay. So where you at, Steve? In pickup? Huh. So you were gonna go Corin Johnson first? See, and Okay, so if you go Case and Pryor with your first pickup, and there is no Corin Johnson on the board, and that Chucky Hepburn on the board, who would you get next? Yeah, pick up or organized. I'd probably go Rain Smith. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Mm. I don't like that, Steve. Get your filthy hands off my two guard. I don't need him flirting with anybody right now. I need this is my team. I don't need any last second surprises. I don't need any. Listen, he's already gotten offered contracts in Australian basketball. I don't need another your boy. Who am I thinking of last year? Isn't it amazing how quick you forget? I'm just like insignificant guy from last year that went over to Australia. Trent Flowers. Shout out to Trent Flowers. That was mean. That was joking. I know, right? But yeah, point being, I don't need Rain Smith making last second decisions to go play pro ball because he just torched somebody and yeah, or all of a sudden his money goes up. It's like, coach, you got to match it. Yeah, but yeah, he definitely pops up on my organized roster, very like pretty high. Okay, well, let me ask this question: higher value in organized or street, James Scott? So good floor spacing will allow James Scott to oof. He got those good street legs though. Uh-huh. How funny is it going to be when you get him here and you're going to find out he really can? Yeah, yeah. And it was like coach really had him just bought in. It's just like no. It's almost like what Cal did with Cat. He could do what? Also, speaking of, who you got tonight? What was it? Was it just a storyline, or was it? Hey, Nikki. The distance. Indiana missed their shot too, didn't they? There's Steve, there's a bunch of Indiana Pacers fans right now that just heard you say that. It could have went totally different had they stole that first one. Oh God. Yeah, on the road, game 1. Now Boston has a chance to adjust it. Uh-huh. Mhm. Yeah, you can slow down Porzingis' return too, because you didn't, like. Yeah, it's funny because you start, like, once you started hearing about Indiana, you're like, wait a minute, they put that shit, like, they got all those guys on their team. Yeah, I don't think they'll let that go. Yeah, like, without having a rooting interest, I looked at that and I saw that shot go in. I'm like, yeah, you're done. Just the adult in me is like, yeah. Yeah, late execution. And the locker room's gonna be blame gamed it up. Yep, yep. Did it seem like that clock started late on that last Indiana play? Like, didn't it seem like it took forever for that for that time to go off? You're like, that's exactly what I was thinking, Steve. like, all right, Steve. Before you get a cutout, give one more shout out, and we'll get you on out of here. Yep. Mm. Mm. All right, Rummage. If you still have a job here, you come back up. I'll see you tomorrow. Texas says Pacers take game 2. Okay, I'm going. Again, good shout out to JCTMS undefeated championship. Just running through all my notes, and you know what? I'd like to see him turn it around. I'd like to see him go Enoch, Stephen Enoch. Gosh darn it. I almost call him a different name. You know, when you have a name in your head, like you know a name from your childhood, and you always just go back to that name. Yeah, just like somebody had a cool name. I always want to call Stephen Enoch, Antoine Enoch. It's like, who the hell is Antoine? School back in the day. Yes. No, I'm listening on radio. I have YouTube muted. Okay, look, I saw YouTube and I saw muted, and I thought I was screwing it up. 20 nuggets, Nikki. Texas says Mavs and 6. You know what? I've never had nuggets without sauce, or it's been so long. Honey mustard. Yeah, honey mustard. I don't remember the last time I've had more than 2 nuggets without sauce. So maybe the sauce just kills it for me. $50? And how much did he say it was? Like $15? I mean, that's probably, you know what? That's probably a AAU trip's dream. Like if I'm a coach and I got to feed these kids or something, Shoney's breakfast, they fed so many athletes. Shoney's breakfast fed more athletes than probably McDonald's has. You know, like more AAU. I mean, of course that's not true. Listen. I bet outside of fast foods, Shoney's has fed more AAU teams than any other restaurant. Okay, who has fed more teams, Ryan's or Shoney's? Yeah, right. No, AAU teams put them out of business, and people stealing chicken and putting it in their purses and stuff. Yeah, the fake to go container. Texas says Mavs and 5. Oh, okay. For 50 nuggets. Don't challenge. Don't listen. Don't even say that out loud. They're gonna Tri-State Men's Health is gonna be so mad at you if you even joke around like that. It's been forever. Yeah. Ah, okay. Who They said Ron Artest used to practice in like a 20-pound vet. You remember when everybody was like doing, well, I don't know, you're young. I don't know if this wave hits you, when people were trying to get hops wearing ankle weights. And they didn't realize you're just swinging your legs when you walk, unless you actually raise your legs all the way up. Everybody in Clarksville, Tennessee, was running around with their mom's ankle weights, thinking it was going to instantly turn your hops into incredible. It was those and those platform shoes. You don't remember the play? Get Phil Baker. Yell Phil Baker. Because he's a candidate to know what I'm talking about. I'm accusing you of something terrible. I'm accusing you of something terrible, and you better not lie to me. Young Phil Baker got his mom's baker, to buy him the platform shoes that give you hops. Was it the East? Yes. You saw the picture of the guy, the guy dunking. Yeah. Oh God. Listen, I was just messing with Nikki about what the gimmicks people were trying to do to get the instant hops, and everybody who saw this, what there are, they're like, Nikki, they're up underneath the front of the foot. It's elevated, so you're almost okay. No, it looks like a Star Trek Enterprise. Just yeah, imagine you're walking on Star Trek Enterprise. For the radio, right? Everybody right now is laughing because they know exactly these shoes. Everybody thought they were right. It's like, no, yeah. I saw white and black ones. Yeah, maybe had a red stripe on it. It's okay. Play it out. We'll That's awesome. Yeah, the nostalgia of East Bay. Mm, mm. As always, 8150 93.9 is always the number. 31 93.9 is always the text line. The YouTube channel is normally made for the Ville. Big Dance Marcus, baby, 93.9 the Ville.